Some people don't fall apart out loud. They keep showing up, they keep producing, they keep smiling, they keep being the reliable one. And then one day, everyone says the same thing. I had no idea they were struggling. It's because high performers often break quietly. There's a strange assumption in modern culture that if someone is producing, they must be doing well. It's a horrible assumption. Output and well-being are related sometimes, but they're not the same thing. Some of the most distressed people in the world are still functioning at a high level. They hit deadlines, they answer texts, they make money, they run meetings, they help patients, they keep the house moving. But internally, they're running on fumes. This matters because society only notices suffering when performance drops. If your work collapses, people ask questions. If your performance remains high, people often just ask for more. This is where many high performers get trapped. They become rewarded for self-erasure, self-censor. We want to be careful here because high standards are not your enemy. Excellence is not your enemy. Ambition is not your enemy. But unexamined identity, when your worth fuses with usefulness, the danger begins. You stop asking, how am I doing? And start only asking, how am I performing? It can be a brutal trade-off. In 4,000 Weeks, the book by Oliver Burkeman, he writes powerfully about the finite nature of life and the illusion that if we just optimize hard enough, we will finally get to the top of everything. Many high performers live inside that illusion. One more system, one more calendar trick, one more push, one more quarter, and then I'll rest. I did this early in my career. I'll rest when I'm dead. I'll work my ass off for 5 to 7 years and then I'll take a break. But the list regenerates faster than your energy. The future keeps collecting rent from the past. So let's talk a bit about performance science. Anders Ericsson became famous for his work on expertise, deliberate practice specifically. His research was often oversimplified into myths about talent and magical hour slogans, but the real lesson was much deeper. Elite performance is built through focused effort, feedback, recovery, and progressive challenge. Notice a key word here, recovery. Because as we learned from Steve Magness and Brad Stulberg, stress plus rest equals growth. Apply it to anything. Your own energy, bones, muscles, emotions, mental status, stress plus rest equals growth. People love effort though. They quote discipline. They worship the grind. They often skip recovery because recovery looks less cinematic. No one posts a heroic thumbnail about sleep hygiene, but adaptation requires restoration. Stress without recovery is just breakdown. Training without recovery is regression, not progression. Work without recovery becomes depletion wearing a nice suit. In the power of full engagement, there's a key theme. Energy management matters as much as time management. That insight was right then, and it's right now. Many high performers are not failing because they lack time. They're failing because they're spending depleted energy on everything. Flat battery decisions, relationships, attention, and then they blame themselves. This is tragic and common. Let's talk about another trap. Competent people often becomes everyone's shock absorber. You need help? Ask them. You need coverage? Ask them. You need emotional steadiness? Ask for it. Soon their capability becomes a tax because they're good people. They often say yes for too long, especially in professions like dentistry, healthcare, leadership, entrepreneurship, parenting. The calm one is often carrying the most. So what do we do? First, stop using visible collapse as your only warning sign. You do not need to wait until panic, rage, tears, illness, or burnout to admit strain. Second, separate identity from output. You're a human who performs tasks. You are not a task machine pretending to be human. Third, and likely the most important, protect recovery like it's a productivity tool, because it is. Sleep, movement, silence, laughter, friendship, boundaries, time outside, take your pick. These are not luxuries for the weak. They're infrastructure for sustained excellence. And fourth, tell the truth sooner. I'm overloaded. I need help. I need a slow week to recover. I'm not at capacity. Those sentences can save months of suffering. And a final point here. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one willing to admit they're carrying too much. Not because they're fragile, but because they're honest. And honesty is often the first step back to strength. If you look fine but feel tired, don't confuse appearance with health.